Let's make a guess before the start, okay? If you're watching this, why don't you tell me, what do you think his canon romance is?
Let's take a look at the moments that make her a good candidate for the true romance option. Firstly is the scene.
It's done. It's done. He's gonna drop her. He's gonna drop her.
And that girl is Kasumi.
Knew it. Knew it. So this one is the true romance option in Persona by Nero. This video contains spoilers. This video contains spoiler. He said that. You hear that? Persona games always have the option to romance a female character in the game. There are many to choose from, and it can be quite hard to actually discern which one is the canon true one. People will say this and that, but I think there's a certain thing we can base the canon one from the non-canon one. In this video, I will discuss and make my point on who are the true romance option in Personas from Persona 3 to Persona 5 only. Sorry for Persona 1 and Persona 2 fan out there. Good meme. Alright, the true romance option in Persona 5 by Nero.
Romance. We all know it. Some of you might hate it, but I think it's one that is a pleasant feature for deeper
I hate it,
characterization.
but...
I do.
Well, I hate it, but I don't entirely mind it. Sorry, maybe hate is a strong word. Maybe don't care for it. Well, indifferent. Okay, there you go. That's the most neutral. Yeah, I'm indifferent.
Like romance in Persona, it has been something that I think existed since the very first installation of the game, but there's always a certain unanswered aspect of it. That being is the true romance option. Romance is a feature, but it's an optional feature in Persona. It's also a feature in real life. You can choose a happy life with the person you love and live with a happy family, or you die alone. You don't have to romance
Is that really a choice? I feel like a choice to try.
a female character every time you reach the maximum social link or confident rank with them. You have the option to friend zone them. So we all know that romance isn't really an integral part of the overall story for Persona games.
Why is there a death counter on the bottom left? I guess this is playthrough?
Know that romance isn't really an integral part of the overall story for Persona games, but if we think about it, for sure those characters that are romanceable do develop feelings.
Let's make a guess before the start, okay? If you're watching this, why don't you tell me, what do you think his canon romance is? For Persona 3, is it Yukari or is it Aigis? Or it's gonna be out of nowhere and be Mitsuru and what is it? Fuga, right? Okay, I think for the Persona 3, he's gonna either say Aigis or Yukari. It cannot be others, but he might surprise us. Okay? For Persona 4, oh my god, Persona 4, it have to be Mary, right? Mary. Why? I'll tell you why just really quick. Because Persona is Izanagi. Mari is technically Izanami or aspect of Izanami. And Izanagi and Izanami are, couple, but they're also brother and sister, which is woo. But so maybe he'll say Mary. Who else can be? Oh, what if you say Elizabeth for Persona 3? That'd be sick. But okay, so Persona 4. What else? Who's there? Can it be anyone else at all? I feel like any other girl are just so random. Yeah, I feel like Mari is like the contender. In Persona 5, damn, it cannot be Futaba unless he's one of the cool people. Which I don't have a problem with. I just think you're cool. I guess it's going to be Mari, and Kasumi. Good meme. Actually, not. I think those are pretty quite accurate. Kasumi is a good one, I think, but damn, they actually left her at the end of the Persona 5 Royal, which kind of sucks, right? But okay, I think Kasumi is a good one though. I like that. Who else in Persona 5? An for the lover? I don't know, man. I feel like Kasumi is the best one. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Well, An. I want to say An, but then like, this is just feeling. I just really like that scene. That scene where he met An for the first time. It had this cute little nice OST that only played during that time. And I think the song is called Encounter. But if that's the only reason. But obviously everybody's favorite is going to be Makoto. Well, favorite and hate. Makoto is probably pretty controversy, funny enough. You either really like her or you just think she's like super fucking garbage. There's a lot of people that really hate Makoto. Please say Haru. That'd be so funny. Out of nowhere, Haru. I like Haru romance, okay? Haru actually is sad, like super sad. She was like nearly She might even be crying. I don't remember if you rejected her. Maybe Ann does that too, actually, but yeah. It's probably Kasumi because of the strong focus she got in the brand new character for Royal. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what this guy thinks. All right, I'm ready. We're ready.
Protagonists, right? I don't have any real evidence to support this, like interviews from the writers and developers themselves.
Yeah, of course not.
So
We know.
I'm just going to tap into my delusions and say yes. That
All good.
yes is purely based on my experience playing the games and consuming the anime as well. I know that canonically that these protagonists probably do not have a true romance option completed, but I think this would be a fun topic to be discussing about. Yeah, I'm sure that people would have civil and friendly discussion regarding
No, but I actually find it funny every time when anybody gonna talk about anything in Persona nowadays that is a little bit like not even controversy, just opinion. They gotta have like this 30-second section to explain like, hey, it's just my opinion, okay? Like, don't be mad because you guys are crazy, okay? Most of you guys are crazy. Just chill. It's just opinion.
topics on the internet. Yeah, I'm sure people would do that. Right, guys?
Pretty sure it's Mari for full because we saw like Izanami connection. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. We'll see about that, Susanoo.
In Persona 3 to 5. I'm sorry to the 8 Persona 1 and 2 fans out there. You guys.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
I think we really need to set a sort of criteria for the Persona characters to be the true romance option. If we continue further into this video, you'll see
Why have my goal here though?
Talked about in all of the 3 true romance options. This criteria will be the most critical part in discerning whether the romance options are actually the real one. We're not going to take in their social links or confidence as a critical part of this criteria. If we
No, you're not gonna. That's such a mean freaking thing. But okay, it's his video, it's his criteria. Is he gonna include Elizabeth hangout? Well, technically, that is actually not a social link.
do take those things as a critical part of this criteria, then we might as
True
well
romance,
just
my
leave
goal,
all
we're
of the
talking about true
options to
romance,
real
yeah.
romance options, because every single romance option has something to go for. So social links won't be an important part. Also, despite what the masses think about the actual best waifu or whatever it is, that's also not going to be an important part. Why? Because even though this is merely my opinion, I will base it a lot on the actual story itself and not really on how much I like this character and how much I think that the romance option is a perfect match for the protagonist. Yeah, no ship
How would you explain this objectively? I guess we'll see.
is going to be a critical part of the criteria.
Probably
so despite
along the line what we
being
mentioned.
my opinion, I'm going to try not to be as subjective as possible. I say that, but I really like the characters which I think are the true romance options. So maybe don't take this seriously.
I bet.
Just have a fun discussion about it, shall we?
He
The
already
critical
went back
parts
on
of the
his
criteria
word. He just
are,
if
firstly,
you the
their
hammer.
involvement and importance to the story. This is probably the most important and critical part since it's tied to the story of the game itself. So
If that's the case for Persona 3, I feel like Aigis became higher than Yukari. But then it would still be cool. I still kind of cheering for Elizabeth just for the heck of it. But
I think it's fair for it to be a criteria. Secondly, their interactions, their relationship, and their dialogues with the protagonist.
okay, that's something to
I know
balance
that I
with
said that
Yukari
we
a little
would be
bit.
including social links and confidence, so we're going to take those things from the story itself. Purely from the story. Thirdly, in-game animations and alike. This will be critical, especially in Persona 5, and probably only Persona 5. So, with the criteria out of the way, we can start finding the true romance options. We'll start with Persona 3. I think out of all of them, Persona 3 is definitely the most difficult one. Persona 3's romance
Is
options
it?
consist of Chihiro, Yukari,
Oh yeah, okay, it's not even just the main cast. He actually including these one too. Okay, there's no way though. But then like you guys, do you think that is there gonna be a one that he actually picked the side girl that's not in the main group? That would be so interesting.
Yukari, Fuka, Mitsuru, Elizabeth, and Aigis. I think it's common knowledge by now that the most probable romance options are definitely the Cs people because they're the ones that are the most involved and important towards the Persona 3 story. Fuka, Yukari, Mitsuru, and Aigis would be the most probable true romance options.
Why
I
can't it
think
be
there's also
Junpei?
a contention for Elizabeth because
Oh,
she's
because
also somewhat
Chidori.
important for the story and also was interested in Makoto through her dialogues in the main story, but it's unlikely because I think she does not appear enough through the main story to be a significant contestant for the true romance option. Obviously, since we are excluding social links,
Is that all? She's already off the board. Elizabeth's already off the board. Dude, come on.
We have to look into these characters through the main story point, and yes, we are including the answer as well because it is part of the true main story. We can start with the least probable one, Fuka. As much as we love our reserved and introverted navigator, she does not have the biggest impact nor the biggest.
Hey, listen. Of all the girls, she spent a lot of time in the. I'm just kidding.
Involvement in the story. I may be wrong, and correct me if I am. Fuka's major
I'm already
involvement in
feel the
story,
hate
or her
coming.
moment when she became the focal point that changed the direction of the story was when she was stuck wandering around Tartarus. That's when she first summoned
I
her
like this part of the
persona,
game a
which I
lot.
think is the biggest part that she played that changed the story to a certain direction. I do also think that she has other big moments in the story I couldn't recall, so it wasn't really directly involved with Makoto. Other than that, she's a very reserved character that doesn't really steer the C's team or the story into different direction, which I think resulted in her not having the biggest impact on Makoto's overall story arc, if that makes sense. Also, Makoto wasn't the biggest impact on Fuka as well. It's mostly Yukari, her Gyaru friend, and basically the C's team as a whole. Obviously,
Wait a
her
second.
being a part of C's team and probably somewhat of a close friend with Makoto does impact
Because he
them
removed the social
in
link.
a lot of many different ways, but I think her role in steering the story to the way that it ended, she does not have a major impact on that. Her interactions with Makoto were also not a lot of personal conversations with Makoto, and if she did have those personal conversations, I think it was mostly Yukari, Junpei, and Makoto as a trio that were having those conversations with Fuka and wasn't a one-on-one with Makoto. As for Mitsuru, she would be just above Fuka. She does have a major impact and major role in the main story as her involvement with the Kirijo group and her father and the whole past of the company. But I rate her above Fuka because again, she doesn't have any major impact in regards to Makoto himself, or Makoto has the biggest impact towards her. I mean,
Damn, do you guys actually feel free to don't answer, but I just say you guys because I'm just talking. I'm making stuff while I'm recording this. But yeah, but do you guys think social link is a side content? Like I think about this for a little bit before, where I feel like it's social link is actually not a side content compared to other JRPG. Other JRPG, a side quest is a side quest, right? But I feel like for personal game, the social link, it takes so much big part of the game that I feel like it's actually, it look like a side quest, but it doesn't act like one. Like the amount of time it stay on screen and amount of how much it involve in the character growth, I feel like it's really not a side thing. But yeah, so it's gonna feel weird to, because now that he like, because I was like, oh, Mitsuru, there's actually a lot of stuff going on, right? But then all of that is actually in the social link, you know?
her whole character arc and development was heavily influenced by Yukari and Akihiko. Akihiko being someone who was the closest to her because they were friends way back in middle school, and Yukari was the one who slapped sense into her, literally. Makoto definitely has some role in Mitsuru's character development, but I think it's very minimal, and Yukari was the biggest factor in Mitsuru's development. Also, despite me saying that character shipping is not a critical criteria, not a lot of people ship them together, and we romance Mitsuru because, well, Junpei says it best.
Fuka's great, but I also miss Kirijo-senpai navigating. It kind of felt like getting stepped on.
I'm not sure
fuck?
what you mean by that, but did you want to be punished?
Now
Well,
we
it's
have
how
these two
she
left,
wanted it.
Yukari and Aigis. This is a very tough one because they are very significant in the story development and for Makoto himself. Also, Makoto probably has the biggest impact towards both
It'd have to be
Yukari and
Aigis, I
Aigis'
feel.
character development. I'm not saying that other characters does not have significant impact towards the both of them.
And when I said that, I don't mean about my opinion. I'm trying to guess his opinion. I think he's gonna go. We'll see.
Since this is a video discussing about the true heroines for protagonists, I'm going to say that Makoto has a really significant impact towards the both of them, where
Wait, no, it's done. It's done because if he already showed Aigis here, then he's just gonna drop her, right? Because he showed. Oh no. Is that what it is?
where it's to the point that the
It's done
Mikami's
deal, maybe.
romance option is a very probable option. These two were probably the biggest
nope.
stars of the answer.
Doesn't matter, different
Who played
format.
as Aigis in the answer, and Yukari was one of the ones that opposed Aigis, and we had to literally fight her. So let's take in the events before the answer. Yukari was the first of the C's team that Makoto had interacted with for the first time. During that interaction, things went
there is nowadays side content in game which can provide a lot of character development. Yeah, 100%. I'm not saying side contents are like super sci-fi. Sometimes it can be meaningful, but for Persona especially, right? Because it takes so much time. It takes so much part of the game. It's such a big part of the game.
south, and Makoto awakened his persona for the first time, and he saved Yukari from disaster. I think from that we can see and sort of feel Yukari's appreciation for Makoto, especially after waiting for him to wake up from the hospital and seeing that she and Makoto relate a lot regarding the situation that they're in. They both lost someone who was near and dear to them. That's why Yukari said that her situation is somewhat the same as Makoto. I think from then on, her relationship with Makoto had developed a lot. Moments like when she awakened her third G for the first time, the time where they had the shadow boss in that love hotel, the moments in Kirijo Island, and we can gradually see Yukari developing feelings for Makoto even from a story standpoint. Let's take a look at the moments that make her a good candidate for the true romance option. Firstly is the scene where
It's done. It's done. If he talk about because it's from the look of it, it sounds like he's gonna talk about Yukari now as a big chunk. So maybe he's gonna drop her. He's gonna drop her. I'm not even like, I'm just guessing just the way that the video is structured.
she waited for Makoto at the hospital. The second most notable moment was probably when Yukari ran away after finding out the whole thing about her father in the Kirijo Island, and Makoto went after her. And I know it's an option, but the fact that you can hug her as an option during the main story, and when you hug her, she hugs back as well. I mean, like, well, yeah, she might as well be the real romance option, right? You don't get...
Bro, come on, man. Like, wait, this is, bro, come on. I understand the hug back and stuff like that, but for the people who just like feel super fucked and shit like that, like they're so vulnerable. So I don't know if you would think that of like an actual romance. I don't know, but that's just me.
to do that with any other characters in the main story. No option to hug anyone, only Yukari. Third moment, when Yukari was jealous because Aigis gets to sit beside Makoto in the school. Look, it's so hard not to tap into the delusions, but like, this is textbook cliche anime having a crush moment. The last moment, well, not moment, but just her overall involvement and character during the answer. So yeah, Yukari is a really tough opponent for Aigis.
They kinda like a rival.
Aigis, on the other hand, also was a major player in the story and 100% one of the biggest impact on Makoto. Makoto undoubtedly was the biggest influence on Aigis' development in becoming human and finding the meaning of life. Her literal reason for
That's one part that I disagree with most people. Aigis just didn't become human. Aigis is actually more than human. But I don't want to talk too deep about that. I actually make an entire video about it. But generally, she learned how to live, but not as a human. Because she learned that there's many stuff that she could not do. But she adopt what she can from Makoto. Like, he adopt how he lived and his legacy. But there's many things that she could not do because she's not a human. She's still an android.
life is to protect Makoto till the end. Then it failed, which we got the answer for, which her emotional side became a being of her own called Metis, and that's how devastating it is for Aigis. It was so devastating for Aigis that another being appeared solely just to glaze on her. Like, how much more devastating can it get? Anyways, yes, her involvement in the story, relationship for Makoto, especially that ending, was really big points for her to be the true romance options. I mean, you don't get to see Makoto late.
She developed emotion, but it doesn't make her automatically human. Yeah, that's actually what's great about her social link, to be honest. Because I understand like that last part where, you know, where she was like, oh, I want you to touch my circuits or whatever. Well, it's called a papillon heart, the butterfly heart. Is like the most integrated of her body or whatever like that. That's why I'm saying that like people don't understand that like she just developed how to live and emotion, right? Like you said, like emotion, and how understand how people is or stuff like that. But she's not a human. So the interesting part about her social link that people don't talk about is how she have to learn how to live the part that's not human, right? Because the part that she can share with human, she can learn that from Makoto, but there's a part that she could not because she's a robot, right? And then in order to show love, she found out herself that like the way that I want to show love, I can't, sorry for the better term, I can't sleep with this person, so I want him to touch my most indicated place. I know it's just it's just like a fan service, but you know, I like to be crazy and think deep. But I think that was very cool because there's something that she cannot learn from someone, and she have to figure out how to do that version of showing love herself.
Laying on someone's lap every day, right? There's also the reason why she was so excessively attached to Makoto, because that guilt in her from past events and sealing literal death in Makoto was a contributing factor on how she feels towards him. I know that eventually she was relieved from the guilt and she chose to protect Makoto till the end, but still, it makes a good point on her being a true romance option and she's not having feelings for Makoto out of guilt. So, between Yukari and Aigis, who is the true romance option? It is Aigis.
So easy. So fucking easy. I can tell from the video format, my bro. Well, actually, it could have been different, but but yeah, this it's a little bit hard, but at the end, Aigis so the theme is really clear. The type of character that I like is when the theme and the action are really clear, but there's also a lot of deep thing to learn about. And I think Aigis just fit that character. A lot of people think the character is really simple, like, oh, he just learned how to live. But like I said, there's actually a lot more to learn about. Like, for example, the Eon card. People don't really know like why she have Eon. Because the only two person have Eon in the Persona series, which is Aigis and Mari. Why is there no Eon in Persona 5? Why is Maruki not Eon? Because Eon is actually a card that giving to something that is not human, but they're learning how to be one or learning how to live or something like that. Because Mary is a god, Ike is a robot. Or android or whatever you want to call him.
In my opinion, Aigis is the most parallel to Makoto, and the existence of the answer was probably the deciding factor for me. To be honest, I don't think any of the characters here are the most probable for being Makoto's true romance option, because Makoto is very aloof. Despite gaining these deep connections with people, I just don't think he is one to succumb to the manly desires for a relationship.
Did you just... Oh wait, okay, this is how the scene play out. Like, did you just like pick this exact scene for this? I don't know. I think Makoto just whatever.
With a woman.
Like, cool
But
life.
anyways, I
I
think
do whatever.
Aigis is the true romance option because through this story, she probably had developed feelings towards Makoto. It is debatable because protecting Makoto as her meaning of life could mean something different, but I think in
Yeah, I think it's mean different. But let me hear what you have to say real fast, boy.
terms of closeness, Aigis definitely was much more closer to Makoto than Yukari was towards him. You can see that in a literal sense as well. She was basically sticking to Makoto like glue when Mochizuki was around him. Anyways, I picked Aigis because I think that last moment where Aigis did that monologue towards Makoto, pouring her robot heart out for him, and just the whole moment felt like it was the biggest moment in making her to be the true romance option. Then the answer was definitely the nail in the coffin. Aigis was definitely a pretty important piece of the story and an important...
Yeah, interesting part though. This scene on the roof. If you play on the portable version, it can be either person. It doesn't need to be Aigis. Interestingly, but yeah, the scene where he said that he would protect Makoto, to me, just I feel like it was about memories and legacy more than the actual person. But then obviously she breaks out anyway, because I feel like even though you have that grand scheme in mind of like, oh, because I'm a robot, right? I'm not a person. I'm technically a super guardian in terms of protecting legacy. Because legacy is go through like generation, right? But eventually if all human is dead, then the legacy is finished. But as a robot, you have infinite age. Right? You can always repair yourself, right? So technically she is the ultimate machine or ultimate living thing at this point. Not just machine, she's actually a living thing that actually can protect legacy of humanity and the one she loved, right? I think that's really, really cool. But I think despite how you have that grand idea of like, this is what I was born to do, it's the only thing that I can do. If you just lose someone all of a sudden, it's not like you can control your impulsive feeling of loss and sadness, right? And I think that's pretty much what happened in episode Aigis. Because like she said all this cool thing. Did she expect him to just like drop right after she's done her speech? I'm pretty sure she did not. That's why.
Character to Makoto, and was also one of my favorite characters in Persona 3 Reload. I love both Yukari and Aigis and all of them as well. This was a really tough one to choose between both Yukari and Aigis because they are both very significant in the story, very significant towards Makoto, and Makoto as well was very significant towards them. So my pick for the true romance option
They're a good pair.
Is Aigis.
Aigis and Yukari. Like the interaction between Aigis and Yukari during the answer is really good as well, especially in the original where Yukari are more aggressive in trying to take the key from Aigis. I really, really like that